welcome to Mock the Week. I'm Dara O'Brien. Joining me this week are Maisie Adam, Ed Gambon, Suk Ojla, Mark Simmons, Hugh Dennis and Ed Byrne. As ever, we record under COVID limitations. All of our panellists are surrounded by perspex. Our audience are still with us because this is just before the full lockdown resumed. So they're here for the last time, and we have our Zoom crowd as well. Lovely to have you here, my Zoom crowd. Big round of applause to you. Very good. We start tonight with a round call. If this is the answer, what is the question? On the board are 6 categories. Suk, which category would you like?
World news, please, Dara.
OK, world news it is. The answer is 14 billion. What is the question?
Is it the current price of a Freddo?
I'm not sure of the regulations anymore, but is this how many people can you meet outside?
Is it, in a briefing, on average, how many times does Professor Chris Whitty say, next slide, please?
Is it how many sperm will I waste over lockdown 2?
Is it how many unanswered texts did Dara send Brian Cox when they announced there was water on the moon?
Is it how many times the James Bond film's going to be rescheduled?
Is it after Eat Out to Help Out, how many chili points did Rishi Sunak have on his Nando's card?
Is it how many children would I have if socks could get pregnant?
Is it how many people have been missed by track and trace?
Is it how old is Joe Biden?
What is the highest tier in Scotland?
Is it Prince Philip's car insurance premium?
Is it how many votes will Donald Trump claim to have received?
How many uses can I get out of a single-use mask?
I can smell that from here.
OK, I'm going to move you towards a correct answer, if we can, please.
Is it how much money was spent on the US election this year?
Absolutely right. Thank you very much. Byrne. Yes, the question I was looking for was, what was the estimated cost of this year's American elections? This is the news that spending across the 2020 US federal elections almost doubled the amount spent in 2016, making it the most expensive American elections in history. Now, obviously, to say this, we're recording this on Tuesday evening. Just to add to the many fantastic difficulties of doing this show at the moment, we're recording it when the election hasn't actually finished, although it will be broadcast on Thursday when it has. So these questions are grammatically difficult. So my first question is, will have had the election that will happen? And why?
Well, I'll cover a broad base, just so we're covered. That old man won, and a lot of people were angry.
OK.
It's going to be terrible for Trump psychologically, because he'll have lost to a 77-year-old. And he himself is 74, isn't
Yes.
he? So they call it the presidential election, but effectively, it's the Antiques Roadshow.
If he wins, you know, they'll accuse us of having underestimated Trump. But it's not that. We just overestimated Americans.
It's amazing they're spending so much more than us on elections, and they still might end up with a horny blonde idiot with coronavirus.
There is a lot of discussion about the 14 billion, which is only marginally more than the UK test and trace system. But the elections will deliver our result,
yes,
which is more than the UK test and trace system has. So how did they ramp up their campaigns?
He did 4 rallies in a day in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh,
He's got an energy of a racist half his age.
There's something quite Liam Gallagher about that, isn't there? He just looks like he's got, fuck off, Noel.
I think Biden is definitely the best person to take over because he's got a lot more experience with pandemics, having lived through cholera, the plague, and whatever killed the dinosaurs.
Who joined Joe Biden on the campaign trail?
Obama.
Obama did, yes, he did, yeah. What did we see Obama do?
He threw a basketball into a net, and it was very impressive.
He didn't just throw a basketball into a net, though.
No.
He threw a basketball into a net, and instantly I was pregnant.
At the risk of giving you twins, we're going to show it again.
That's what I do!
Oh, my Lord!
Oh, yeah. Oh, I definitely felt something there.
Is he for real? The best thing about that as well is Joe Biden at the end. Just you can so see he's like, I wish I could do that. The reality is that if you had Joe Biden doing a sport and then being like, that's what I do, it'd be just him doing like lawn bowls, going, that's what I do.
Do you think he took him aside after that and went, well, next time, will you let old Grandpappy get one too? You're not making me look cool.
What, you think he should lift him up? You can dunk now, Joe. Don't put it in.
Get me in now.
We're up to the last time then. What's going on here?
He's probably going, this is the actual deal I did with the devil.
Is he going, when you're famous, you can just grab them by the pages?
Is this him with a list of his outstanding sexual assault allegations?
I wouldn't say they're outstanding.
He's probably saying, and then we put all these Democrat votes in the shredder. It's probably what he's doing.
This is him showing off the copy of the Constitution that he wipes his arse on.
Is it the sequel to Mean Girls, and this is his burn book? Is it him going, Joe Biden is an ugly skank?
Do not trust him.
Meanwhile, what did presidential candidate Kanye West get for his wife Kim Kardashian for her 40th birthday?
Oh, this is mad. A hologram
Of her dad.
of her dead dad.
Yes! You put it like that, it sounds wrong.
I mean, he's so arrogant that he brought back her dead dad to say that he was a genius.
Yes. This is part of the speech done by the hologram of Robert Kardashian.
You married the most genius man in the whole world, Kanye West.
Not his actual words, scripted for the dead man by Kanye West. It's the weirdest...
It's so mad. It's so mad. If you were going to be speaking as Robert Kardashian, like, if I'd have made that hologram, I would have made him apologise for getting OJ off. Oh, I'm sorry, too soon. Move on.
Don't you think, though, that Dead Dad hologram is the album David Bowie never made?
It'd be great to win arguments. I think everyone should get a hologram of their partner's dead dad. You go like, it's your turn to do the washing up, and if you don't believe me, listen to your dead father.
Oh.
He's right.
They said...
Why don't you just make a glove puppet of your partner's dead father? What's that? Mary's dad?
Oh, Mary should do more around the house. And should be allowed to go for drinks with his friends.
She's a great disappointment to me.
Don't put me back in the box. Don't put me back in the box. You're going back in the box, Mary's dad.
If it hadn't been for that heart attack, I would have died of shame at this.
Can I just say, I think it's quite nice. I think she should be allowed to grieve her dead dad as she chooses to, you know. I would have loved to have heard my dad say, I'm proud of you. You know, he's not dead.
In other news, what have Dutch scientists created using a 3D printer?
This, I think, is the world's smallest boat.
It is the world's smallest boat. Yes, they made a nano boat.
They've made a nano boat which can go along in your body. But the weird thing about this story is that this boat is made in the shape of a tiny tug. And you think it's going through veins and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a tiny little tugboat. It's like a 3 microns in length, look over 3/100 of a millimetre.
I tell you what, Priti Patel is not going to like that sneaky little boat, is she?
No.
Oh, she won't like that.
No.
She'll have to hire a borrower to be a new immigration officer.
Yeah.
It's like the most literal way of having a tug and getting some semen out.
Oh, come on, actually, you know, we're a bit more highbrow here, mate.
Do you think if it sinks like the Titanic and then the band plays heroically as it's going down, it will be like the world's smallest violin having a really sarcastic response to its own death?
A few years ago, I was going to sail around the globe in the world's smallest ship, but I bottled it.
At the end of that round, the boys go to Maisie, Ed and Sue. Now we play a round called Biden Into My DMs. This game involves Mark and Maisie, so if you could make your way into the performance area, please. This round is a stand-up challenge. I launched a wheel of news, and wherever it chooses to stop, one of our performers must step forward and talk about that subject. OK, here we go. Let's have our first subject, please. And the first subject is lockdown. Who wants to come in? Maisie.
Yep, as you can tell by my haircut, I dealt with the first lockdown really well. really well. What's it called? Business at the front. Where the hell's the back? I spent lockdown and lived with my boyfriend and my brother, which is an interesting combination. Obviously, love them both very, very much. I feel like I should also acknowledge that they are 2 different people, by the way. They're 2 very different people. In fact, they couldn't be more different. I was trying to think of the only thing they have in common, and I realised it's that at some point in their life, they have both had a bath with me. Obviously, one was very erotic, and the other one he pooed in. Ruined Valentine's Day. But one of the pros of lockdown has been that me and my boyfriend, we've been able to have our evenings back together, which is nice. And as a result of that, there's been a lot more jiggery-pokery going on. And so to make sure it doesn't get bland, to keep it spicy, I decided to go and buy some sexy lingerie. I say I bought sexy lingerie. I went and bought a pair of knickers that matched a bra I already had. But that's because sexy lingerie is expensive. It's really expensive, right? You can tell because when you read the labels, they all sound like very posh sport. I decided to buy this lingerie. Took out a 3-year loan to get it, and do you know what? It took me that long to put on. I was in the bathroom for ages trying to get it on. There was straps this way, straps that way. By the end, I looked like a pork joint in a butcher's window. But I'm there trying to psych myself up, right? Going, you're sexy. You say, I've got the moisturiser on. I've put my sexy playlist on. I was like, Alexa, play aubergine emoji playlist. Right, I was in the zone. In the zone. I was like, come on, come on. I walked into the bedroom. My boyfriend, he saw me. His jaw dropped to the floor, and he went, wow. That is coming straight off. I said, it's chuffing not. I said, this is a treat, and you need to appreciate it as such. When you go to a restaurant and you have the posh item, you have the expensive item, let's say you have the £40 steak tartare, you don't wolf it down like a burger. You take your time with it, you savour it, you appreciate what you're having. And I am not a wimpy burger, Michael. I am a £40 steak tartare. But apparently, by the time I've explained all that, the moment's gone. But in fairness to him, it might not be the rant that put him off, because in all fairness to him, he has had to get used to banging, essentially, a back-to-front Joe Exotic.
Thank you very much, Maisie. OK, that leaves us with Mark. Let's see what your topic is. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is jobs.
So I don't really like the people that work at the train station. They can be a bit annoying. I went there the other day, went up to the desk, I said to the man, can I have a cheap ticket to London, please? He said, it's peak time. I said, OK. Can I have a cheap ticket to London, please? I used to work in a cinema. This one day I was supposed to start work at 9, got there at 9:30. Boss was angry, came over, he said, Mark, you're late, I want you to make the time up. I said, OK, it's 9. I was on the ice cream counter, guy came up, he asked for 1 scoop and sauce. I said, Rihanna's pregnant, and my mate Steve told me. At the age of 30, I was a Virgin Air steward, working for British Airways. So my father worked 12 hours a day to put food on the table. Great dad, slow cook. So a few years ago, all of my family predicted what we thought my sister would end up doing for a living. And it turns out she works for a sex chat line. Yep, I called it. My girlfriend's not very supportive of my job. The other day, she was like, Mark, all your jokes are all made up rubbish. Why talk about something real? Don't know what she's on about. And you've got a girlfriend. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. At the end of the round, the points go to Maisie. Come back. Our next round is called Picture of the Week. I show the panel a topical image and ask them to tell me what's happening. So, what's going on here?
Is he saying, sorry, no, I said I wanted to sustain an election?
Is he saying, I've actually turned over a new leaf as a pharmacist. Come and get your flu vaccination.
I thought he was saying that this is actually very good anti-Semitism. I mean, antiseptic.
Is he saying some drugs are class, eh?
Is he saying, have you got any domestos? I've got some minions that need bleaching.
He's saying, with these Duracell batteries, you can make racism allegations go on and on.
Is he saying that whilst he believes these symptoms exist, the doctor has dramatically overstated his symptoms for political reasons?
You can't actually see his legs, but he's in boots.
It's not that, no.
Is he the only white pharmacist in this country?
So you have the correct answer?
That is Jeremy Corbyn, who has been suspended from the Labour Party.
Indeed, it is. Thank you very much, Hugh. Yes. Yes, it's a picture of Jeremy Corbyn, the former leader of the opposition, who was suspended from the Labour Party this week. Why was he suspended?
Because he didn't walk back his comments. Basically, he said that when the result of the EHRC's findings was that they breached anti-Semitism rules, and his response was that it's been overstated, it's been exaggerated.
Exaggerated, yes. Just a tone. Look, I know we're going to get grief of all the people who are big fans of Jeremy Corbyn over this, but there is an element of say sorry to your brother. Say sorry to your brother. And you say sorry for hitting your brother.
Yeah.
I have always been against all of the attacks on my brother. All kinds of it. I've always spoken out against. Just say sorry to your brother. The amount of attacks has been exaggerated for political gain. Right, naughty step now. That's essentially
Yeah,
what
Starmer
it is.
basically put out a statement saying one thing and Corbyn just went, nah. Like, he might as well have just put a video out going, I know you are, you said you are, but what am I?
The odd thing is that Corbyn has said he's only been kicked out for, it's been a political intervention. Like, yeah, what else did you think it was? Like, you're a politician, and the political party you're a member of booted you out because of the political statement you made. Of course it's political. That'd be like me, as a surgeon, like, constantly removing the wrong organs and then being struck off and going, oh, well, this has been a medical decision. Yes! Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Keir Starmer, recently, I just see someone's put a poppy on a Toby jug.
That's the most northern thing you've ever said.
What?
Poppy on Toby jug. It wouldn't look out of place in Carvery.
OK, this is offensive now, Ed. This is offensive.
I understand there were some offensive comments made, but it wasn't to the extent that the media made it out.
The worry is, apparently, the Labour Party will now go into civil war, won't it? And it will break into lots of little factions and things. But that might be planned, because if the factions are small enough, each faction might be able to spend Christmas together.
In other news, what major announcement did Boris Johnson make this week? I'll do that with less joyous. Sorry, I don't think I recognise it as a topic, but really, it really didn't merit a happy thing. In other news, what major announcement did Boris Johnson make this week?
There's going to be another lockdown.
There is another lockdown. This goes out during the lockdown. These are the last days of freedom. We spent them making this show for you. So stay in your house and watch it.
I think we know what it's going to be like this time. So I think that every Thursday night at 8 o'clock, to make ourselves feel better, we should just, everyone in the country, go to the doorstep and go, ah!
This whole thing has really been stressing me out. So the other day I had a bubble bath. It was just me, my mum, my Uncle Alan, my cousins.
I'm glad it happened on Halloween, because then when all the local kids threw eggs and toilet paper at my house, they just went straight into the stockpile.
I think it's great timing because it's November now. ITV2 are going to be showing Love Actually every night. And I can just stay in and frig myself silly to Hugh Grant being Prime Minister.
How delayed was his briefing? Like, it went on, it kept getting pushed back, and both Little Mix's TV show and Strictly were delayed as a result of it. It's like Boris's thought was like, who would be the worst people to make angry in this situation? Oh, I know, hormonal teenagers and menopausal women, and within that Venn diagram, the gays.
And then they put, but like it was a whole thing. And the BBC said, "Well, you cannot delay Strictly," which was a real slap in the face of Little Mix because they kind of went, "That we can dump that. That is ballast, right? That is gone." But Strictly, no, do not touch Strictly.
I think Boris just wishes he was on Strictly secretly. It doesn't. Strictly combines his two greatest skills: making a fool of yourself and having affairs.
It's particularly intense this year in Strictly because they all have to shield together. They all have to in their bubble, which, if you can imagine, it always had a reputation as building sexual tension between the celebrity and the dancer. And now they do 8 hours of sweaty rubbing, and then they go, "Oh well, back to the hotel, I suppose." Honestly, they're going to be all over each other. Apart from Bill Bailey, who will not do anything wrong. We know Bill Bailey, old friend of mine. Bill Bailey will be there with a theremin on the edge of the... There'll be some dancer going, "Oh, take me now, Bill, the tension is too much." And Bill will go, "No, first I shall do the countdown theme in the style of polka." At the end of that round, the polka's going to end. Hugh and Mar! Now we come to scenes we'd like to see. So if everyone can make their way over to the performance area, I'll read out this week's topics, and then we'll see what our panelists can come up with. OK. Here we go. The first subject is unlikely things to say when running for president.
Silence, worms!
OK, I just need to check my notes. I've got so much money.
I'm delighted to announce that my running mate is the hologram of Kim Kardashian's dead dad.
Thank you once again for electing me, Vladimir Putin, President of the USA.
You will not find me confusing presidents with fast food outlets, and that is why I have been such a long-time admirer of JFKFC.
As president, I'll be legalising marijuana.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be your president. Not for the fame, not for the power, not for the riches, but for the fanny.
This week I will speak in 4 states. Angry, tired, psychotic, medicated.
Why should black voters trust me? Well, if you check my college photos, I even used to dress up as you guys back in the day.
In light of recent events, we've decided to postpone all campaign activities. It's called Self-Care Babes. Look it up.
Tax havens, tax butlins, tax pontins.
If elected, I will drastically reduce the price of prosthetic limbs, because at the moment they cost an arm and a leg.
I will not be running in 2020. I will be skipping.
I can't deny it. I did send those explicit images, but in my defence, I had just had my arsehole bleached, and I was very pleased with how it came out.
To the people who say that I'm too old to be president, here's £1. Don't tell your mum.
Yes, we can. Lock her up. Drain the swamp. Hands, face, space. Oh, my God. I can't stop. Speaking in threes. Someone please help.
The allegations of voter fraud are ridiculous. My opponent is just jealous of my popularity with the dead.
I'm running for president, and what do you do? Advisor? What do you do?
People say I have alienated too many people to be elected president. And to those people, I say, fuck off.
OK, the next topic is things you wouldn't hear on a cookery show.
Sorry, onions always make me cry because my mother was killed by an onion truck.
Now, it's had a lot of bad press recently, but I think I can change your mind with my recipe for bat à l'orange.
If you are going to Google this recipe, do be aware that Coq au vin does bring up a lot of dogging websites.
This recipe was passed down to me by my great-grandmother, so it is a little bit racist.
So last week I showed you how to knock up a chicken. This week I showed you how to impregnate a turkey.
Hi, I'm Nigella Lawson, and I've run out of innuendo, so I'm just going to cook this curry with a tit out.
And of course, you can get these from the supermarket, but I prefer to grow my own Haribo.
Well, they're a very sad pair of dumplings, but they're still hosting MasterChef.
So there is shark fin soup. Ta-da! Sorry. Ta-da.
Now, in America, they call these eggplants, but in the UK, we simply call them chickens.
Now we've put the pineapple on the pizza, all that's left is to slide it into the bin.
So, is it a cereal? Is it seafood? Who cares? It's the world's most dangerous fusion food, sugar pufferfish.
Core 2 apples. Sorry, core 2 apples.
So when my family came to England in the 60s, they very early on, they realised that all you need to do is package up any old shit, call it authentic, and white people will lap it up.
Welcome to my new pop-up restaurant where we just make toast.
And now I'm going to roast these carrots. Yeah, you wonky orange knobs.
So we just wait for that to rise for a minute, and if it doesn't, I'll pop another Viagra.
It's another lockdown. You know what that means? It's another series of Cooking While Pissed. Today, we're going to put an oven-ready meal in the microwave for too long.
At the end of that round, the points go to Ed, you and Mark. And that's the end of the show. This week's winners are Maisie Adam, Ed Gamble and Sue Bosna. Commiserations to Mark Simmons, Hugh Dennis and Ed Byrne. Thanks for watching. I'm Darryl Green. Good night.